Hello, Lizzo. Welcome back to this channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda's channel. Thank you so much for all the love and support. Don't forget to please subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so that anytime I upload a video, you'll be the first person to be notified. And to my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos and also educate, you guys are the real MVP. Alright, lovelies, let's dive into today's video. So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys because I find this very, educating, the one that will make you think, so deep. Where this, Mexican guy decided to analyze all of the things that is going on currently on social media with the elections and all of that, and who vote and not. I'm just gonna roll it, as well as some of all the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. Alright,
so I want to offer a gentle critique of some of the rhetoric that I've seen online regarding the upcoming election, and I want to use this as an opportunity to discuss a concept called standpoint theory. And before we go any further, please bear in mind, this is a critique of ideas, not a criticism of people. And because this video might go a little long, I want to say up front that we are still raising money for the Cotter family in Gaza. They are in dire need of help, and if you are able to donate, that'd be great. You can find a link to their GoFundMe in the link tree in my bio. So a few months back, when Joe Biden was still the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party, I saw a lot of people, a lot of content creators, a lot of commenters who were from marginalized communities say that there was no real difference in voting for Joe Biden or Donald Trump, that their particular marginalized community was going to do poorly under whatever administration came to office, so there was no real distinction in terms of who you ended up voting for. In that same vein, some folks were saying that trying to convince people from marginalized communities that life would be scarier or worse under Donald Trump was at best fear-mongering and ineffective, and at worst emotional blackmail. And there were people who pushed back against this, saying that, well, this is about harm reduction, and honestly, even if it's only a small amount of harm reduction, that is still something. That's better than nothing. And the counterpoint to that was, well, harm reduction isn't good enough. We can't just settle for harm reduction. Or the rhetorical question, harm reduction for who? With the clear implication that either harm reduction wasn't going to happen for that person's particular marginalized community, or that it wasn't going to happen at all because Trump and Biden were effectively two sides of the same coin. Now I'll skip forward in time a little bit to when Joe Biden drops out of the race and Vice President Harris becomes the presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party. And then the discourse changes to a vote for Harris is a vote for survival for marginalized communities, and that this is necessary. Now we're going to put a pin in that and come back to it. But before we do, let's talk about standpoint theory. Standpoint theory, and all of its variations, including Marxist, feminist, and black feminist standpoint theory, is the idea that you have what's called a standpoint perspective when you have two things: membership to a subordinated group or a marginalized community, and an understanding of the power dynamics that make up a social structure. And once you have an actualized standpoint perspective, you have access to knowledge that is not readily available to members of the dominant society, and you are uniquely equipped to address the inequalities within that social structure. Now, it is important to note that there is no single standpoint perspective that allows for an all-encompassing view of society. If you want to get a comprehensive understanding of how society operates, you need multiple standpoint perspectives. If you want to read more about standpoint theory, go check out the Encyclopedia of Communication Theory. You can find a link to it in the link tree in my bio. It includes an overview of standpoint theory as well as some recommended readings. Now let's connect this back to the political discourse. If you are saying now that voting for Harris is a vote for survival, then you're operating from a particular standpoint perspective. And if you were saying a couple months ago that it didn't matter if you voted for Trump or Biden, you were in a bad way no matter what, then that is also rooted in a particular standpoint perspective. And now we get to the gentle critique part of this. If you were saying a few months ago that it didn't matter if you were voting for Biden or Trump, that you were not going to be protected either way, even if you are now saying that voting for Harris is necessary for survival, you are critically missing an important standpoint perspective, and that is the perspective of the Latinx community. Former President Trump has made it clear in no uncertain terms that he wishes to do a mass deportation that, in his own words, is a bigger, more effective version than what happened in 1954 under President Eisenhower. That program was called Operation Wetback. He wants to do that again, but even bigger. He says that this will be to target undocumented immigrants, but we know that what he means is Latin Americans, because that's always been the case with him. And for those of you who haven't been paying attention, who might think that this doesn't affect your community, I would remind you that Latin Americans are white, they are black, they are every shade of brown in between. And historically, whenever there have been mass deportations, this has always included American citizens as well. That was the case in Operation Wetback in 1954. That was the case with Mexican repatriation in the 1930s. And this will also include people like me who are American citizens who have dual citizenship, because I am also a Mexican national. I have Mexican citizenship by birthright because my father is from Mexico. And just in case what I'm saying is not abundantly clear, let me break it down into simple terms. It may start with us, but it will not end with us. Most of the infrastructure necessary is already there. For example, do you know if your county has a 287G program, which authorizes local law enforcement to act as immigration? Not to mention the efforts that are proposed in Project 2025 that would make this a lot more effective and a lot more streamlined. And now I'm going to speculate for just a minute, but the official estimate for how many undocumented immigrants are in the United States is somewhere around 11 million, but the Trump campaign keeps saying that it's closer to 20 million. If you're asking me, that extra 9 million people is probably going to be made up of other people that they don't find desirable for this country. It is entirely normal to believe that your standpoint gives you the most accurate view of society and that it gives you access to the kind of knowledge necessary to address all social inequalities, but it does not. And this illusion means that you do not understand where the limitations of your standpoint perspective exist and when you should complement that perspective with the standpoint perspectives of other groups. And this means that you are now susceptible to threats that are not on your radar, but could have been if you had only considered the perspectives of other groups. What I'm asking you to do is to reflect on what I've said here and then consider that before you decide whether or not or for whom you're going to vote this November.
I want to say something, but I want to preface with something first. And I want to say that I absolutely, unequivocally condemn any and all versions, forms of anti-blackness and anti-black rhetoric. Full stop. I absolutely condemn the white supremacy that was weaponized against a black woman on this app. Her name is Tori. I absolutely condemn Maya for speaking to Tori that way, for treating Tori that way. Absolutely condemn. And the reason I want to preface with that is because I want to have a larger conversation. And it's not even really a conversation. It's more of I want to be frustrated because I'm frustrated. And if I'm frustrated, imagine how black people feel. All of this is just so incredibly frustrating because if we just had this conversation in good faith, we wouldn't be where we are now. And it's stressful, man. Like, it's so stressful because we're pushing away our allies. And like, we're pushing away allies for a group of people who are being genocided. Are you kidding me? And no, I don't think Kamala Harris has earned anyone's vote. I don't think she has. I don't. She doesn't even have her list of policies up on her website. But I can't have this conversation anymore. We can't have this conversation anymore because we took 10 months of solidarity and just threw it out the fucking window. There's children dying. There's people dying. And not just Palestine, not just Gaza. There's people dying in the Congo. There's people dying in Sudan and Tigray. There's so many genocides going on. And the only way to achieve liberation for all is solidarity. Solidarity. We've never, not one time made strides in progress from sucking up to our oppressors. We've always done it with solidarity. Always. And I feel like that's why this is so frustrating, because we had that. We were scaring our government. We were scaring them. They were scared of us. They were scared of the power we had through solidarity. And what did we do to that? Now we have people saying, oh, well, y'all want me to take the flag out my bio? I sure fucking will. And do you blame them? No, you can't blame them. And I'm pissed. I'm so pissed off because we're letting all of this go so far. It's over a fucking vote that doesn't mean anything. I'm not saying your vote has no power. I'm not saying that. If it didn't have any power, they wouldn't try to ban people from voting, you know? But in the same sense, we don't have any power when it comes to the presidential election. You just vote for president, you're not making change. I'm sorry, you're not making change. You're not the activist you think you are if you're voting for president and thinking you're making change. You are not voting against Project 2025 because you're voting for Kamala Harris. But we're not even able to have this conversation anymore People have made up their minds. They made up their minds. Why did they make up their minds? Because we didn't have this conversation in good faith. It's about tone. It's about how you treat people. You can't treat people badly and then want something from them. And that, I'm so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. I'm so disappointed in you guys. What the fuck? And there's so many valid critiques of Kamala. There's so many valid critiques of her presidential campaign. There's so many critiques that are good, that are not anti-black, that you don't have to silence people and talk over them and demean them and treat them like children. There's so many conversations we could have had. And now we can't have these conversations because everyone's made up their fucking mind. And where does that leave us? Sit with that.
On TikTok, in this political space, you will have seen the back and forth between Black activists and Palestinian activists on this electoral moment. And the conversation is really, really important to be had. And I'm so glad that people are actually paying attention to politics. As someone who's been an organizer for 15 years, where most people have not paid attention, a couple of truths that I think are really important to point out to underscore that it is so important for us not to be in opposition with each other, but rather in solidarity with one another. Because there is a history for this, that within the civil rights movement, there was a lot of interconnectedness between the Palestinian liberation movement and civil rights movements. This is how you had someone like Angela Davis, and you still have someone like Angela Davis still being so outspoken for Palestinian liberation. During the Black Lives Matter movement, you had Palestinian organizers literally training people who are on the ground in the United States on how to deal with state-sanctioned violence, but also even using art like murals to stand in solidarity with Black organizers in the United States. In apartheid South Africa, you had solidarity between the liberation fronts in South Africa, the Black liberation fronts in South Africa, and Palestinian organizers who understood the parallels between those realities. We are fighting against white supremacy. We are fighting against colonialism. We are fighting against the same systems of violence.
Palestinian content creators are not the cause. We aren't the cause itself. We're not the children being killed. We're not the men being raped. We're not the bodies being destroyed to bits. Our homes aren't the ones being stolen. Our fathers and mothers aren't the ones being tortured to death. We're just creators trying to tell you about it. So please don't determine your association with the Palestinian cause on whether you like us as creators. You may not agree or like one creator, but that creator is not the cause. So don't let them determine whether you care and support Palestine.
Like, seriously, lovelies, this is just getting more, interesting. And at this point, I think people should just actually do what they feel that is right. Black people are actually, speaking out and trying to defend themselves because they are actually tired. They are fed up. You can't continue, fighting for someone who does not really appreciate your effort. I actually understand from their own perspective. You can't just continue doing that. Meanwhile, you have your own fight to fight. You have your own fight. The anti-blackness is just something that is draining, and at this point, it's as if people should just do whatsoever that they feel that is right. People should look more, towards what can actually benefit them personally, because this Maya thing, this controversy, have actually shows a lot. That shows the way at which people always try to bring down black people, even if black people, especially black women, keep on doing their best to keep everyone in line to actually speak up for people. But when they decided that for the very first time they want to do something that might probably, if they don't even know if it's going to benefit them or not, people are coming for them. This period of time, this election period, I have seen so many posts where a lot of people are actually considering not even voting at all because of all of the controversy happening. A lot of people are now choosing not to vote. But choosing not to vote, I don't even know what to say about it anymore. But this time around is a time for people to actually sit down and think and reflect and, try to like weigh the good, the bad, and the ugly. If not voting is going to solve all of the issues, then so be it. If voting for A is going to solve the issues, so if voting for B, so be it. Of course, everyone is fighting for the same thing, for the same, cause. Nobody wants to be oppressed. Nobody wants to be genocide. Nobody wants to, to have this police brutality that's been happening. Just look at Sunni. Like, I cannot actually forget about Sunni mercy. Like, everyone is just trying to see if there is a way at which, there should be a better thing. But as it is, everyone is actually, I think everyone is confused right now. And you wouldn't blame anybody at this point. No one, like, seriously, lovelies. I have tried to like listen to every other stitches. I've been seeing so many on my For You page on TikTok. Everybody, I just saw it as a lot is confused and nobody's happy about what is happening or about what the society have actually brought, especially I think black people are the one suffering the most. POCs can still but black people suffers the most. Because I think they're the only ones that has been expected to do this, to do that. If they chose not to do, they'll be called out. Why did you choose not to do? And if they chose to do, they will be called out. Why did you choose to do it this way? So it's just a back and forth thing. And when I saw the first guys, trying to like analyze and try to like put everything in place, it's something that will just, you just have to get you thinking, like how to get you like, okay, what is really happening? What is the right thing to do? What is the right thing to do that will actually benefit, especially the oppressed? The same thing that is happening in Pe.Ple is still happening in Congo. It's happening in Sudan. It's happening, like, there are oppressions everywhere that you don't see everywhere. And the one that is happening in Congo, like, there is a video for it. Anyway, lovelies, wanna just, leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please, do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. If you've not subscribed to this extent, please do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload.
After this extent, thank you so much for all the love and support. Why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video? And do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying, harassment, or whatsoever. We're just here for educational purposes. Alright, lovelies, please share this video, subscribe, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.